again.
All right.
Hi, Fortune.
Hi.
Okay. We're gonna mute everyone again.
Like you see, mine are too big to do this. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I wanted to say, everyone, thank you for coming on right now. We have Fortune with us today to talk on all things fun, really. So lifestyle, fashion, and you know, we know that this is what the DSN community wanted. So we want to thank Fortune for working with us, and we have a series of things to ask her. So we're going to start with some prepared questions that I know people want to hear the answers to. And then after that, if you're interested, you can post some questions in the chat, and we might choose a few if there's time at the end to go through. So there's a little chat box on Zoom. Feel free to type some questions, but I suggest you wait because we have some pretty awesome questions and answers already. So
I just want to quickly also just say thank you so much for having me, for inviting me to the Zoom. I'm so excited to be talking today and to be speaking to my Deal, New Jersey crowd. So thank you again, and thank you to the DSN for having me.
Thank you. We're thrilled.
And you've been such a pleasure also to talk to. So thank you, Callie.
Wow, I could do this all the time then. This is great. Oh, thank you. All right, so Fortune, do you want to just start off by, I'm sure everyone here knows, but just by giving like a little bit of background about yourself and your history so that we can set ourselves up for the questions?
Starting from 1974? No, I'm just kidding.
We'll go with 87, where the age you look, not the age you are.
Okay, well, I was born and raised in New Jersey. I went to Hillel Yeshiva. I then went to NYU. I got married at 21. I have 3 kids. I'd say I've always been taking classes throughout the years. And then I'd say about 10 years ago, I started to, I became a personal stylist. And then from there, someone had suggested that I start a blog, and I thought, why not? So in the beginning, well, that was like 6 years ago. In the beginning, it was just kind of like a fun, creative outlet. And then it kind of like gradually turned into a business. So 6 years later, here I am, Fortune Inspired, and I'm very proud of it. And for me, it's just exciting to be able to share everything that I'm passionate about. And just to hopefully bring light and a little bit of laughter and humor to everyone out there.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Did I mention I have 3 kids? I don't know if I probably should have said that I got married and had 3 kids.
You did mention that.
Okay.
So 6 children, right?
Exactly.
That's great. And do you consider yourself a writer with all the blogging, or not real? Like,
so it's funny. I definitely never felt like writing was my strong point. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like most bloggers haven't really majored from what I hear. Every blogger feels like they're not a good writer. I think it's more, you become more of like a conversational writer. So it's kind of very personal, and I try not to put so much pressure on myself to write perfectly, although I will send off my final drafts to someone just to check, my spelling, and just to make sure I have all my exclamation points and periods where they're supposed to be.
I need that too. Grammar, not my strong suit. All right, so let's dive right in. I think that one of the things, so with quarantine and everything, and like less partying and, you know, events this summer, women might be in need of a lot more casual wear than they're used to, working from home, being at home. And so I was wondering what top 5 items you would suggest buying for the summer, considering our circumstances.
All right. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I definitely think this summer will be more casual. And with that being said, the top 5 things that I can think of are in order from head to toe is, I would say a hat, a nice sun hat. I think that it makes a statement. It's stylish, especially with like all the bad hair days and gray hair days I've been having in quarantine. It's definitely been coming to the rescue. And plus we want to be just more careful with our skin. So I would say a fun, cool hat. There's bucket hat, fedoras, cowboy hat. So, I mean, it's really, the options are endless. Next, a pair of sunglasses. I mean, that's always something great to invest in, and they don't have to cost a lot. Again, it's another statement piece. I would say white jeans is always great to have in your closet, a good summer staple. Two of my favorite brands, because they always change, but in the moment, I'm really loving A. Goldie and a newish brand that's called Silver Lake. So those are two brands that I really like. A white and or black bathing suit. You would think that people would have this in their wardrobe, but sometimes it's those basic pieces, those classic pieces that people tend to not invest in. And in terms of brands that I like for bathing suits, Arez is always my go-to. Hunza G is another great one, and they're one size fits all, which is very easy. And what else? Oh, a low, normally I would say if it wasn't kind of this kind of summer, I would say a nude stiletto. But instead I'm gonna go with like a nude or brown, I'd say like a 2.5 to 3 inch stacked heel, because it's casual enough, but you're still getting some height. And if you have like an outdoor barbecue or if you're going for dinner, I don't really wear stilettos out here, but you know, a heel that's kind of just medium size, I think would be great.
That's great. Yeah, I'm going through my closet right now. I'm thinking, heck? No. But that's good to know.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we have a hat, a pair of sunnies, we have white jeans, we have your bathing suits, the one size fits all.
Black and white.
Black and white specifically. And we have like a 2-inch heel, which I think is great. You know, my grandmother, she only ever wore kitten heels. And when I started to get into like enjoying shoes, her shoes were ones like I couldn't get myself. So much nicer than whatever I could get. So as a young girl, I'm like wearing kitten heels on one hand, but then like really nice shoes on the other hand.
Right. Yeah, my kids are always raiding my closet, so I get it.
All right. Okay. So we talked about like clothes and apparel, I guess, but what about your beauty regimen and your makeup changes for the summer?
So I don't know if you can see or not, but in general, during the day, I don't wear a lot of makeup. Or I should say I do a no makeup look. So in the summer, I even go lighter, but I can tell you what I do. When I wear foundation at night, I will go a half a shade darker just because my skin color is darker, so I need to match it. And that's something that I never did before. And I think it's really important that if you do get tan in the summer, that you should go up a half a shade darker with your foundation. The foundation that I've been currently wearing is by Surat, but I'm also a fan of Armani. During the day, I'll blend a tinted moisturizer with an SPF of 20. I love La Mer's, and I'll blend that with my moisturizer. So that gives me a little bit of color and a little bit of coverage when I'm not at the beach. And then I'm a bronzer girl, so I'll put bronzer on, a little bit of blush. I actually just bought actually I was gifted from Surat a pink creamy blush, which is amazing. Eyebrow filler for me is always a must. I'll always add glow. Maybe you don't need it, but I do. I'll always add a little bit of glow shimmer over here, and then actually sometimes on my brow bone, and then lip gloss, of course. Mascara I don't wear during the day because I'm typically wearing sunglasses, so it's just like one step less that I have to like take off at the end of the day. And then at night, if I'm going for dinner, I'll always, or a party or whatnot, my lips will be the statement. So I'll do a fun, like bright red or a fun pink, and that's about it.
Statement lips, I like that. Okay, great. I always look for ways to like lessen my routine. So you're right, I should think if I'm wearing sunglasses and just not put on mascara. Because I also always tear. So like I get those like, you know, like mascara run. It looks like I'm crying and I haven't.
But you can always curl your lashes, which can help with the shape. And then I think it's Dr. Perricone. He sells a no mascara. So it's just something to kind of apply. If you want to do something where you don't want color, but you want a little bit of definition, that's a good option.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So this is like my favorite to ask you. If you were a blank slate and you were offered, I just handed you $5,000 over Zoom, I would want to know how you'd spend it and stretch it.
So it's funny, you know, somebody once told me that what people notice most are your handbag, your shoes, and your coat. So those would be the three pieces that I would invest in. So if we're talking about spring, even though we're almost into summer, I would definitely invest in a trench coat. I would invest in a pocketbook, and I would invest in bags that will go past one season. So one of my favorite brands is Mark Cross, and they make the same styles season after season for the most part. So you never really feel like your bag is ever outdated. And, you know, in comparison to other high fashion labels, it's not like insane. It's definitely pricey, but it's something to look into. And plus everything's going on sale now, so it's probably a good time. And then, so a trench, a bag, and then again, I would say a nude heel or stiletto. Come winter, I would do a long black or navy cashmere coat or even a wool coat. I was just talking to a friend, and there's a fabulous brand that I love. It's called Sui Studio. I don't know if you've ever heard of Suit Supply for Men. So it's the actually woman's version, and it's so well priced. I think the coat is like $600. I can't tell you that this is like one of my most worn pieces in my closet, and people think that I'm wearing Celine. And it's Sui Studio, and I wear it all the time.
So that I can read it on the chat?
It's SUI Studio. So a nice black or a navy wool or cashmere coat. A puffer is also a great option, and it doesn't have to cost a lot. There are so many, you know, options out there, or you wait for sale. And then for winter, again, Mark Cross or just whatever bag you fancy. And I would say a black ankle boot is what I wear even more than a black stiletto. I mean, we all need one for when we go out, but I think that a black ankle boot is just as important, and it takes you from day to night. So those are that's how I would spend my $5,000.
That's great. And somebody had asked, what is the brand of one-size-fits-all bathing suits that you suggested?
It's Hunza G, H-U-N as in Nancy, Z-A-G.
Okay. All right, that's great. Okay. So what would your favorite brands be that are, maybe you could give me like 3 of each that are more like expensive, moderate, and low budget?
So when it comes to expensive high fashion, I was kind of thinking of the brands that I have in my closet that I kind of go to season after season, and I would say they're Johanna Ortiz, and I kind of look towards her for casual but statement gowns and dresses. Again, for a high fashion label, they're not as expensive as like a Dior or a Gucci or something like that, but they're really feminine and romantic. And again, they're not trendy, and so I really do get to wear them season after season, and that's something that I look for. I mean, I always love to have, you know, a piece that's kind of the moment, but I also like things that are classic and have staying power. So Johanna Ortiz is number one. Rosie Asulin also is another favorite of mine. She's very fun. There are also a lot of statement pieces, but they're also done in such an effortless way that it's easy for me to wear. So that's two for expensive. I can't really give another brand because, you know, it really depends on the season and the collection. You know, one season I can love Etro, or one season I can really love Gucci. But the next season I may not like it as much. And in general, I don't really buy a lot from one brand. I'm really very selective with what I buy. And plus it is expensive. So, you know, I'm just really mindful about that. So I would say Johanna and Rosie are definites. When it comes to moderate, I'm a big Zimmerman fan. I love their florals. I love their jumpers. It's just, and I love anything that's Australian. So again, like that's a great brand for me, and I like the way it fits.
They make kids clothing.
They make kids clothing, absolutely. Love Shack Fancy is another. I feel like I speak about that brand a lot on my blog. They have great summer cover-ups and dresses, and even their sweaters are lots of fun. I just bought like this strawberry embroidered one for spring that's really sweet. So that's another brand. And I would say Kuehl is another favorite brand of mine. She does a lot of stripe tees and sweaters in both cashmere and wool, and that's just something that I wear a lot.
How do we spell that?
Kuehl is Kule. So it's kind of like preppy, but kind of like meets like Royal Tenenbaums. So it's like, has like a really cool vibe to it. And when it comes to lower price brands, I'm a huge fan of Reformation. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know about Reformation, but I've always heard about it, but I've never actually worn it until last year. I was in the Hamptons and I went into the shop and I bought this white printed linen dress, and it was like maybe like $200. I have to say, out of every high fashion piece in my closet, I have never gotten as many compliments for this dress. And every time I wear it, like my husband will say, "Oh my God, that's such a pretty dress." It's like the price is so great. Like the styles are very flattering. I actually got a cashmere sweater from them. I don't even think it was $100 this winter. It was a gray cropped cashmere, and I cannot tell you how many times I wore it. So Reformation is my favorite. Faithful the brand is another Australian label that I would say, comparatively speaking to like high and moderate, is a very cool brand. It has like a more youthful bohemian vibe, and I don't necessarily own a ton of things from them, but I appreciate their aesthetic and their style, and I love following their feed. So Reformation, Faithful the brand, and believe it or not, I really like Madewell. I have a bunch of jeans from them, so I think their denim is really good. I also like their accessories. I'm very, even before quarantine, I'm a big bandana girl, so I have a bunch of their bandanas, and once in a while, you know, I have like their sweaters, like they're just, you know, you just want to kind of throw on like a comfy, cozy cardigan or even a striped tee. So I would say those three brands for lower priced.
That's great. I'd never heard of Kuehl, however. That's awesome. I asked my grandmother to knit me a Love Shack Fancy sweater. I sent her.
Oh, no way.
And I said, "Can you knit this? Because I don't want to buy it if you can."
Oh, my, that's so fun. Is she going to do it?
She's trying. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
All right.
I might have to like meet your grandmother between her like kitten heels and her like, knitting.
She's cool. She's much better than I am. Oh, so this kind of flows into our next question. So how do you think that age and the way that we dress should like interact?
So I have to say, I've been
like bathing suits or
so I've been really thinking about this, and I have to say, I really think that it comes down to attitude and confidence and owning it. And I just don't like to pass judgment on what, you know, a person should or should not wear, because, you know, I do see women at a certain age, and while, you know, I may not necessarily rock that, I have like such admiration for them, because it's really all about being comfortable in your own skin. And that being said, I think where I am right now, I definitely like to keep things like fun and flirty and a little bit sexy, but I try to do it in a more elegant way. I may not always, you know, pass with flying colors, but that's kind of like where I'm at. And I also feel like as my kids have gotten older, I have one that's just turned 18 and one that's 21, I kind of keep them in mind. So whereas like a few years ago, if I like something, I wouldn't give it thought, I'd just buy it. Whereas now I'm kind of like, it's happened a few times where I've looked at something in a store and I'm like, feel like Sonia and Vivian could be wearing this. So I maybe I should just pass on that. But yeah, I think that if you're confident,
wouldn't agree.
I'm sorry?
Get it. They wouldn't agree. They'd say, get it so they can go into your closet.
Right, exactly. They should say that. But yeah, I think it really comes down to confidence.
That's great. I agree. So your next Zoom will be on teaching confidence. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Okay. So you spoke before about, I'd be curious to know, like, if you say that you buy like a lot of classic pieces that can pass through several seasons.
Right.
I wanted to discuss like the idea of balancing quality with quantity in your closet. Do you do spring cleaning? Does it look like, do you get rid of your whole closet, or do you keep a lot of things that you've had for several years? I'm curious about that.
I am definitely someone that cannot have a lot of stuff in my closet. I just feel like I definitely go for quality over quantity. I just think that it just makes it much harder for me to get dressed. As a matter of fact, when I came to New Jersey, I only thought I was coming for like a week or two. So I feel like getting dressed, I mean, not that I'm going anywhere, but I think when you don't have as much to choose from, it sometimes can be easier to get dressed. And I just feel like the quality pieces have more staying power. You know, you want things that have longevity. So I really feel like less is more in the sense that I'll just, like I said, buy quality. I think the times that I will kind of, you know, when it comes to trendy pieces, I'll probably, you know, that's when I'll buy something that maybe, you know, I know won't last, but I just want to have fun with it. So that's where like the quality versus quantity plays in.
Got it. Yeah, I'm just making sure that I can find you and that I might have muted you, Fortune. Did I do that? I muted you. Okay. I will unmute you in 1 second. I'm just looking for you. Fine. Here you are.
Okay, so did you hear any of my response? Or
yes, I heard all of it. I just muted somebody else afterwards, and I just want to make sure that I got you unmuted again.
Okay.
But I did hear you.
Okay.
All right. So I was curious, I was reading about color theory and how it impacts people's moods. And I was wondering how you translate that into home and clothing style.
So I definitely feel like color has a huge effect on me, especially when it comes to home. I definitely appreciate a dark room or a dark restaurant or even a dark loungy place. I think that it definitely adds to a certain ambiance. But when it comes to my home, I just love bright. It just kind of lifts up my spirits in the morning. You know, I have like a lot of white walls, and actually, I think I only have white walls. In my room, I think I have light gray. So I try to keep it light. I just think it's just a brighter feel. And when it comes to, okay, I'm sorry. I have like a little audience over here. When it comes to, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. When it comes to clothing, also, especially in summer, I'm all about bright, happy colors. So I love yellow, I love reds, I love pinks. It just lifts me up. You'll rarely see me in black, unless maybe like for exercise, I have black leggings, but I really try to add in color. I also am a big neutral, so I will say that. And in winter, yes, I definitely have a lot of black and gray, but I still love to add pops of color. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. I think you think color can create like a happy mood for you or a really impact mood.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think like, even though tie-dye is also a great activity during quarantine, it's
love tie-dye.
Rainbows everywhere right now, so that's cool.
Yeah, I'm big into rainbows. I don't think I could wear rainbows, but I'm big into tie-dye. I feel like I can wear that. I love yellow. I'm all about color.
Yes, that's great. Okay. So I've been on Fortune, your website, and I saw that you like I saw some familiar names on there, and it kind of made me think that's who you feel like connected with in this world, or maybe who you I don't know, maybe like where your interests resonate. But I noticed, you know, Kim Kushner, she's a fantastic cook, and I have all of her books. I saw that you had mentioned her online, and I know that there's also, you know, Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop. Are there any other iconic favorites of yours, either in the community, I know, or not? Just maybe like if you could have this kind of conversation with somebody that was interesting to you, who would your fortune be?
So yeah, I'm a big fan of Kim Kushner, and I think what she's done for kosher food and kosher cooking is amazing. I think she's really elevated kosher recipes and whatnot, and she also has such amazing style when it comes to presentation. I love her kind of farm to table approach in a very casual way. So I'm a huge fan. Plus she's a fantastic friend and she's super smart. So I'm giving a shout out to Kim. Gwyneth Paltrow, I don't really go on her Goop site as much, but I have all her books, and I do have printouts of lots of recipes, and I really have never met a recipe that I didn't like. So, I mean, they're all amazing, and definitely a go-to when I'm entertaining, or if I just want to, you know, make a new dish. Gwyneth's books are amazing. In terms of cooks in the community, I'm a big fan of Sweet Sweet City. That's Grace Carey. She has, her presentation is also very French and very beautifully photographed. It almost seems like she was trained at like the top French culinary school. I mean, that's the way that she presents. And the different desserts and meals that she makes are really just, I'm in awe of her talent. So Sweet Sweet City is definitely, I'm a fan of hers. Also, Rosie Asulin, obviously she's known as a fashion designer, but I've been watching her since she's been in quarantine, and she's been doing a lot of Insta stories of her cooking. And there's like her style, there's something very artistic about the way that she cooks and she presents. And she's quite funny, even like her little, you know, little comments that she makes on her Instagram stories are really cute. So I've been following her, and she's been great. And there's one more cookbook author. She also has a site. It's more lifestyle. Truth be told, I've never made one of her recipes, but I'm obsessed with her feed. Her name is Athena Calderon, and her Instagram page and her site is called I Swoon. And she just has, again, style in spades. It's very organic, farm to table. She actually just decorated a townhouse in Brooklyn, and it was featured in, I think, Architectural Digest. And I have no shame in saying that I copied her server, like to every last detail. Anyway, so she's another one that I'm a big fan of, but just for like her overall vibe.
They say that copying is like the highest form of compliment.
A flattery, absolutely.
Flattery? Yeah, there. All right, sounds good. I've never heard of it. That's awesome. So food really speaks to you.
I guess so. You know, so some people you follow, well, you know, Kim, I follow, you start, I think, following people because you want to support them, but then, and not Kim per se, but in general, but then as you follow them, you realize like, wow, they're so talented and you learn so much. And so I think it goes both ways. You know, you follow to support, but then also you're always learning something new. So. Yeah.
That's great. Someone wrote that they really like the colored lamp behind you.
Thank you. The brand is Christopher Spitzmiller. I don't know what the color is, but that's the designer.
Awesome. I'm not even going to attempt to spell that. So
I'm like, that's like probably the one thing that I know in my whole entire house. I couldn't really tell you what any other name is, but I know that.
So we asked the right questions today. Good. All right. Let's see. We're moving and grooving here. So since we're all cooped up, I'm curious, because you love to travel, what your first travel destination will be, near and far. So maybe in the country, out of the country.
All right. So I made a list because I think you told me to make a list. So of course there's like no end to where I want to travel. So I definitely feel like when and if, I'd probably travel domestic first. And I put this on my blog, but I'm actually trying to get to all 50 states by the time I turn 50. So I have 24 more states to go, and about like 4 years and 6 months to get there. So the places that I'd like to visit are Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and Wyoming is actually open. It's one of the states that are open. So Jackson Hole, Wyoming, Santa Fe, New Mexico. I've always wanted to go hiking in Maine and North Carolina. And feel like, okay, so I have 4 on the top of my head. And then in terms of foreign travel, I'd love to go to Iceland for adventure. I've always wanted to go. Japan for culture, specifically Kyoto and Tokyo. And I have been to St. Bart's and Capri, but I can never get enough of those 2 places. So those would be my top 4 foreign travel destinations.
Good choices. As a Canadian, I'm trying to hit all the states also. See how it goes.
You can come along.
Great.
I'm always looking for a partner.
GSN road trip.
Yeah, exactly. That would be fun. I'd be there.
We heard it here first. No. Okay. That's, yeah. Okay. Oh, someone asked the brand of your blouse. Can you share that with us if you remember?
I don't know the brand. I can look after and I can DM you, but it's actually from one of my favorite stores. It's a boutique downtown and it's called Warm. So it's not like the type of place where you go and you buy a bunch of stuff, but you always end up leaving with like one or two treasures. And it's a very cool vibe. So in the summer, they make it very surf-like, and in the winter, they make it like a chalet. But again, it's like this really bohemian, very cool downtown, eclectic, curated selection.
Downtown New York?
Downtown New York.
Got it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, this one I'm excited about. Okay. It might be our last formal question. I was curious, what's your favorite non-sentimental gift that you've ever received?
So it's funny, you know, when you ask me that question, I feel like anytime a person gets you a gift, even if it's a gift card, the fact that they thought of me and they went through the effort to get me something, that makes it sentimental. If you're thought of, it doesn't matter what it is, like that to me means something. But that being said, I was thinking about like gifts I've received, and I would say monogram gifts are my favorite. And so are things that are related to my name. So a friend of mine bought me a little dish in the shape of a fortune cookie, which I thought was a lot of fun. And then like many moons ago, I got my bartending license, and the same friend got me, Tanya, if you're watching, shout out to you. She got me these coasters that said Bar Fortuna. So I just think that things that are personalized for me always have meaning.
I just meant like not a card from your child that you
Right, yeah. I mean, those are the things that come to mind. I mean, I always love candles and books because I can never have enough. But I'd say, yeah, I really love, yeah, I love anything that's monogrammed. I don't know. I think it's because like when I was younger and we used to go to Great Adventure or Sesame Place, and at the end we'd go to like the little gift shop and everybody was able to find things with their names on it. And like, I never gave up trying to find fortune. I never found it, but that must, I'm wondering if there's like a correlation. I don't know.
We share parallel experiences. Ever find anything that is EALEIGH,
right.
I implore you to please buy it, send it my way.
Right.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, same.
I get it. That's a good one though. I think I've always appreciated monogram and like personal touches to the gift giving experience also.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think that those are all the questions that we had for today. We can open some questions up and see if anyone has any questions in the chat, but
sure.
Most people are just commenting positively.
Oh, great. I can't really see, but thank you.
No problem. I'm your eyes and ears. It's no
Yeah, I can't, Callie, I can't check the questions because I'm on my iPhone, but if anybody has a question, please just feel free to ask.
I think we're good. I think that you answered everything so beautifully. I don't even have any questions really, or like even on a.
Don't be embarrassed to ask. Every question's a good question.
I don't even know if everyone knows about, there's the side chat like button on Zoom. You know, we all needed like some sort of Zoom tutorial when this all started, but if anyone has any questions that they want to maybe post in the Zoom chat, we can leave it open for a few minutes. And
or do you want to
oh, someone had suggestions for belts if you have any.
Yeah, so Isabel Morant, I just buy their basic black and brown belts, so that's really my go-to for, I mean, if they're speaking for a moderate price point. I've bought belts from them, and I've also bought belts from Madewell. I don't really wear a lot of belts, so.
I never wear belts.
I think I have like an Hermes one from my Swanny.
All right, that sounds good. saying they love your down-to-earth attitude.
Oh, thank you.
So, all right. So suggestion for about, I think I was interrupting you before. Were you going to say something?
No,
Okay.
no. Oh, I was going to say maybe if you wanted to unmute everybody, maybe that would make them feel more comfortable to ask questions, or.
It might be a little hard to do. I could try it for a second if anyone has a question. Here.
I don't know if it'll be like too loud or not. Do you have any more questions for me, Callie?
I think that I just, I guess, I could ask a last question because we're all stuck at home. Maybe you're so good at like creating what looks like Zen spaces around you, and so we spoke about color. But do you have any tips on like easy updates or just things to do to create a Zen outdoor like space or experience or atmosphere around you during quarantine?
Yeah, so I would say for me, like the most important thing when it comes to creating Zen spaces is to make sure that it's clutter free. So I know with young kids that can be a challenge, but what I used to do when my kids were younger is I'd have a bunch of wicker or rattan bins. And so in one bin, I'd put like all the kids' clothes. In another bin would be their shoes. And another one would be like all like their muscles and kind of swimmies. Now I still have one because they're obviously, you know, I have nieces and nephews that come over and kids, you know, my kids' friends, my friends' kids. So I have that. I have a special bin for towels and then like a little rattan bowl or tray with lotion. So I think having a clutter-free zone if possible. I also feel like music is very important. That kind of creates a certain ambiance. Plants, flowers. I'm a big fan of candles. And my husband also likes to light incense. So that's something that I also feel like adds to the overall mood.
Do you have a favorite scent?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a favorite scent?
Yes. One of my favorite scents, it's a bit more, I don't know if it's like wintry, but I love Feu de Bois.
Feu de Bois.
And that is by the brand Diptyque. I'm also a big fan of APC, has a bunch of candles. And one of my favorite ones, I think it's pronounced Bougie, so Bougie. I definitely recommend theirs, that scent, but really all of them are good. I think that scents are very personal, but I have to say I always get compliments on those two. And then a third one that I really like, I think it's called Cotton Poplin by Byredo. So that's Byredo.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Byredo.
6.
Okay. Oh, those are, yeah, that's awesome.
I also feel like pretty towels is a nice way to accessorize. And like sometimes when we have company, I'll kind of like roll them like you see in hotels, and I'll either put them on the lounge or we'll kind of like lay them out on the lounge. And one of my favorite brands for towels are Matuk, and Serena and Lily is also another brand that I love for outdoor furniture and accessories. So I would highly recommend them. There's also another store in the city called Home Nature, and I bought my wicker baskets for outside from them. So that's another good brand to know, or another good retailer.
Home Nature in the city.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Do you have any like secret tips that you could share that are like your, like a treasure of like anything that you feel like you have like extra knowledge on for like place to go that no one knows about for something that you've always loved, or anything that's kind of I think of it this way, Fortune. I think like when we were talking about cooking, and we always think like of our generations cooking these delicious meals, right? And it's like, oh, a grandmother had like that secret spice that she had to make it wow or something. I'm wondering, is there any like you don't need a secret spice for what you do, but I'm wondering if you have a secret something that is your go-to sometimes when you shop for yourself or something like that.
So I mean, for me, when I'm shopping, I rarely buy something. I know this sounds crazy, but I'll rarely buy something on the spot. So what I typically do is I'll put it on hold and I wait like 24 hours. This doesn't happen all the time. I am impulsive at times, but I do try to give like a 24-hour time period, because what happens is after 24 hours, I'm either going to still be loving it and obsessing about it, or I will have forgotten about it. And that's usually how I can tell if I really like something.
A good tip.
Yeah.
A very good tip. That probably could save us a lot of money.
I still manage to spend somehow, but I try. I try to be mindful.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Do you think that your husband thinks the same way you in your outfits, the way that you do? Like, do you think he likes the same, like your favorite go-to outfits? Are those the favorite things he likes to see you in, or does he like a good glammed up Fortune, or?
So I think he likes both, but he doesn't really like anything very like tight. But I think we're more or less like on the same wavelength, and I annoy the hell out of him when I do buy stuff. I will sometimes ask him if he likes it or not. And like, sometimes he'll be watching TV and I'll be like, 1 second. But I think for the most of the time, I mean, sometimes like he doesn't get like the pointy stilettos. He calls them roach pokers. I'm trying to think, like, there's definitely other stuff that he's like, when like the crop pants were in, like the crop wide-legged, he didn't really get that. There are certain things that I'll listen to because obviously I want him to, you know, like what I'm wearing. But then there's other things that I really like, and unless he's like completely turned off from it, which I don't think it's ever happened. I'm sure there had happened, but yeah, I think we're on the same page.
Are you responsible for his styling, or does he do that himself?
Both. I mean, David's not a big shopper or spender. But I think both. I think
it's all about balance in a relationship.
Yeah. He always has a sense of like an effortless style. I'd say like a bit preppy, but then he also loves to wear like pareos in the summer. So he keeps things very like casual, and I call his clothing vintage because he never shops. So like literally like he has shirts that he has from 20 years ago. But you know, Father's Day, his birthday, that's when like we'll update his wardrobe. Special occasions, yeah.
Sounds great. Well, somehow we managed to make it to almost an hour with and trying.
I hope I didn't talk too much.
All right, no, it's awesome. I'm so thrilled about it. I feel really well informed, actually.
Thank you.
And I want to say thank you so much.
My pleasure.
This was so great. We did have one last question, if you have time for it.
Of course.
It said that someone was just curious on the chat that because you are a blogger and so public, do you ever feel like you're missing privacy?
You know what? No, because I don't really feel like, everything's very relative, but I don't feel like somebody else may think I put a lot out there, but I think relatively speaking, I don't really post my husband that often. I don't really post my children. So I you know, people ask me to like give home tours, and while like I have different photos on my feed with different backgrounds of my home because that's kind of unavoidable. I do try to have boundaries. So I don't really feel like that. Not yet.
Wait, after this today, you're going to be so popular, all because of DSN. The numbers are going to skyrocket, and we'll just remember where it all started.
Where it all started.
Minus 6 years.
Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you to everybody that joined. I can't see who you are, but you know, every single person that tuned in and made time to listen to me, you know, makes me feel really special. So thank you again.
Thank you so much. DSN adores you. I'm on behalf of DSN. I'm also speaking on behalf of myself. Just so it was so great to be able to work with you on this. And I appreciate all the information that you were able to give our community members. And what we're gonna do is we recorded this session, and it's gonna be able, hopefully within 24 hours, to go up on DSN's website, so that if anyone didn't have the opportunity to see it, they can go there and then they'll be able to check it out.
Okay, and if anybody has any questions that they didn't get to ask or they were embarrassed to ask, you know, to please feel free to DM me. I'd be happy to answer anybody's questions privately.
So nice. Thank you so much. And I'm going to end the meeting for everyone now, okay? Enjoy your day. Enjoy the lovely weather, everyone.
All right, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Mm-hmm. Job for you. Can you hold this one, please? Wait, I have a job for you. Eva, I need you to hold this spoon for me. Upright. Don't spill it out. Wait, you got it? Don't spill it out. Let me open this. Oh, you do it so good. Awesome. Excellent. Okay, now I need to do the third time. Hold. Go back. And hold. Okay. Hold. Thank you so much. Thank you. Did I see through it? Thank you so much. Thank you. Mommy, it wasn't far.